don't really own all my money. Or, my kids, they're mine. They came out of me, but I don't really own them. They are God's. My husband, he is God's. How much more would I apply diligence to all those areas of my life if I really understood I am not the owner, I am the steward. And when he returns, I want to be called good and faithful servant. When they come back home, I want them to be like, we are so glad we chose Dougie and Cassie to house it for us because they did an awesome job. It would break my heart to know that they regretted that decision. And so I felt like, you know what? I've got to take this to another level in my life in every area. It's not just about my home. It's about the people in my world. It's about my job. It's about my kids. So diligence is a close relative of stewardship, but also your next fill in the blank is that it's portrayed as the opposite of laziness in the book of Proverbs. We could decide right now, they're in a different country. We can just kind of kick back, take it easy. We don't need to really worry about some things. We could do that. But who would that benefit? That wouldn't benefit them. It wouldn't benefit us. So often we don't realize it, but our laziness causes us to miss out on opportunities. God's wanting to give us opportunities. He's wanting to bless us, and sometimes we're not applying that diligence to position ourselves for that opportunity. And in that passage we read, I was thinking about it, and I was like, that's even worse almost than being poor, is that it would be as if someone had robbed you. You'd be left as if you were robbed. And what a terrible way to live. We're not called to live as people who've been robbed. We're called to live with people in abundance. Our God is an abundant God, like Pastor Kerry preached about. So, I'd like to take a look, and I'm going to kind of skip around. I hope that's okay just a little bit. On page 40, I want to take a look a little bit further at the difference between diligence and laziness. And sometimes if you look at what something is not, you learn more about what it is. I do this with my son, Caden, because he's two and a half, almost 3 at this point. And, he loves talking about opposites. And so when I give him a bath, I'm like, the opposite of short is, and he's like, tall. The opposite of stop is, he's like, go. And so I think it's a fun little exercise. Sometimes it helps you understand more about, he calls it applesauce. He thinks that that's what the word is. I'm like, opposite. But he understands the concept. So let's do applesauce, Mommy. So words that are associated with diligence in the Word of God: wealth, plenty, someone who's fully satisfied, someone who's able to give. These are words that are associated with diligence. But on the flip side, if we're talking about laziness in the Word of God, these are the words that are associated: poverty, lack, someone who's always craving, a cavern of constant need. Yikes. Attitudes of lazy, or you could also call them slackers. It's a little bit stronger of a term. Who wants to be a slacker? I mean, ugh. A lazy person stops short of completing the task. A lazy person stops short of achieving his objective. He stops short of achieving his objective. When you stop short of your goal, a lot of times we make goals pretty easy, especially in the beginning of the year. We'll make a New Year's resolution and we have this passion for this goal and we're really excited about it. But then life happens and things happen, and so the work required to get to that goal, a lot of times the desire to not have to do that hard work supersedes the passion to reach that goal. And so you end up in a reversed order. You might be a single in here. Maybe you're in a relationship and you're struggling for purity and you want to remain pure in your relationship, and so that's your goal, is purity. But the hard work it takes to maintain and your boundaries and to work hard at staying pure, a lot of times we give up and we don't keep that. That gets too big, and then we lose our passion, and that supersedes that. And so we've got to get to a point where our objective and our goal remains so strong and so clear, and we remain passionate that we're willing to do the hard work it takes to reach it, and we don't stop short of achieving it. Maybe you're a student, or maybe you're a mommy, or maybe you're a wife or a professional, and you have goals in your job or your studies or your kids and with your husband. Keep those alive. Keep those goals and those passions alive, so that when the rubber hits the road, you're not losing the passion because it feels too hard. You can do it. Another attitude of a slacker is that he expects to reap where he hasn't sown. That's really an attitude of entitlement. He expects to reap where he hasn't sown. It's the opposite of humility. Pastor Kerry had a really great message on humility, and you can't, if you're not going to put the work in, you can't expect it's that easy. You can't expect to sow if you have not You can expect to reap where you have not sown. He also attracts want and not abundance throughout his life. You know, that generous spirit that we're called to have to be aligned with redemption, we need to know the character of our Father is that he is a God of abundance. You know, kind of like when I was reading this, I was thinking about, you might be a slacker if any of these resonate with you, kind of in that Jeff Foxworthy accent, you might be a slacker if any of these resonate with you. Any of you feel like, you know what, I've done that. And sometimes we just have to call it what it is. Sometimes we can make excuses and we can excuse ourselves from things because we don't really realize, you know what, that was really, I'm being a slacker in that area. I'm being lazy. And I know lately I have felt, when I had my second child, I felt like I started making a lot of excuses because I was just sleep deprived. And I was like, I'm tired. I can't wake up any earlier. I can't wake up any earlier to read my Bible or work out. And, you know, I thought about it, like we can make excuses in every season of life, you know. Maybe when my kids are grown and they're teenagers, maybe they'll be keeping me up late at night. Or maybe after that I'll be taking care of an aging parent. Or after that, you know, there's always something in life. And we can't let those excuses keep us from what God's calling us to do. We're not called to be women who are slackers. You know, that's not in our DNA, I don't even think, in women. So what is diligence? Let's take a look. You can turn back to page 39. We talked about what laziness is. Let's really look at what diligence is. Diligence is constant in effort to accomplish something. Diligence keeps going until the job is done. Here are some words, and these are your fill in the blanks, associated with diligence. Attentiveness, persistence, perseverance, and consistency. You know, these words, attentiveness, persistence, perseverance, and consistency, they're easy to say. They're a lot harder to apply. But we have got to apply them if we want to build our house of wisdom. You know, a lot of times we love the verse Proverbs 3 where it talks about God orders our steps. And a lot of times, are y'all still in those blanks? I'm sorry, I went too fast. Attentiveness, persistence, perseverance, and consistency. We good? I'm a natural fast talker, so I hope I'm not talking too fast. I'm trying to slow it down, especially when we're trying to keep up with fill in the blanks. But you know, a lot of times, the verse in Proverbs 3 where it says that God will order our steps, a lot of times, you know, we can actually use an excuse that I'm waiting on God for something. You know, you might be waiting on God for an answer or direction or whatever, but, you know, in that verse it says he orders our steps. And so to step actually implies action, that when we're stepping, he will order our steps. And he will really make a way and he will make our path straight. But sometimes it takes action on our part where we can't just sit back and trust that God's going to bring something our way. Sometimes he's waiting for us. Get stepping, get moving. He's going to show up. He's going to make a way. Diligence is what sets apart the good from the great. Diligence is what sets apart the good from the great. You know, a few weeks ago, Jacksonville hosted the Gate River Run. Do I have any Gate River runners in here? All right. You go, girls. So, you know, 17,000 people participate in this run. It's actually the largest 15K in the United States. I was reading the website. I was like, wow, this is like really cool. I didn't realize all these stats. You know, it also said 1% of the population can say that they have participated in a marathon. I thought, oh, yikes, that's really low. Like, we need to bump that up. We need to do it. I know one day I will run a marathon. I don't know when, but one day. You know, but one of the areas I have lost diligence in, and for me, exercising has always been a priority. And it's not just about appearance, but it's really about how I feel. It's about health and how it makes me feel so much better emotionally and mentally and physically. And so when I had my second child, he was big and he liked to eat. And so I thought I was going to get a break with a big child. I was like, oh, he's going to hold off longer, you know. But he wanted to eat every 3 hours. He wanted to nurse every 3 hours. And I was like, okay, this is not going to work for too long. And it added with an increase of responsibility at work. So for the first 10 months, I was just waking up several times a night, and I was just like a walking zombie almost at work. I just felt tired a lot. And I just was like, the thought of waking up early or working out after they went to sleep just was like, I'd rather solve world peace. Like, I just can't I can't do this. The thought of, like, there should be a clause in the Proverbs 31 chapter where it talks about mothers not having to get up earlier than your kids because we're so tired. And so I just was like, I can't do this. So anyway, finally, about 10 months, he started sleeping through the night. And after a few nights of crying, but that's okay. It worked. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And so at 10 months, he started sleeping through the night, and it took me a couple months to recover because I just felt so sleep deprived. So after a couple months, I was really feeling convicted, like I've really got to start working out again. And I know I need to for my health and my sanity, and I need to. And so thank God a friend texted me and said, do you want to start working out together? Let's hold each other accountable. And so that really is what has held me accountable. So we started working out about 3 times a week, and on the Saturday, a few Saturdays ago, when the Gate River Run was here, I went and worked out, and then I turned it on the TV. And I was watching, and I just thought, gosh, I love like the feel of a race. Everybody's just the anticipation on their faces, and the relief and the reward that they have on their face when they're done. It's just so cool. And I just was thinking about it, and then I read, Mohammed Trafa, I don't know how to say his last name. He actually won the race, and he is 26. He's originally from Morocco, and he did it in 43 minutes and 22 seconds. And so it's like a 4-minute, 39-second mile. And I was like, wow. Okay, so what? So then I realized, you know what? I just worked out for about the same amount of time. Like, I went and did like my elliptical for 30 minutes and probably some free weights after that. And then he ran 43 minutes. And I was like, okay, what sets us apart? What is so different? Obviously, he went a lot further, a lot faster than I did.